Okay, today we're going to draw this African elephant. And first, looking at this elephant, we can see that the body is pretty much like a box. And then we have an oval for the head and a big oval for the ears. And this elephant is reaching its trunk up and has two short tusks and the mouth open. And then it's swinging its tail a bit. So we're going to draw this larger. And so I'm going to start with that box shape kind of right here. And of course, I kind of like to just go back and forth. So staying really light to begin with. Yeah, we got room for the tail right here. Okay, and the box for the body. And then we have sort of an ear here and the head. And then we've got the trunk that's going to be coming up like this. Okay, so now we have those proportions, and it is pretty much like a box here to start out with. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start here now with the where are we going to start? Um, yeah, let's start with the head. So I'm gonna have just looking at my ovals here, and then the ear. Again, I'm staying pretty light because we want to be able to modify this. But we just got the head sort of here. And I've obviously got the trunk too long, so I'm going to stop it about right there. And then down the mouth and like that. And we see the neck. Okay, good. All right, and so we see this front leg here. Let's get that one in first because it's in front. And again, we're just staying really loose in case we want to change our proportions at all. Noticing this elbow goes right up into that area where the ear is. And it's right below the ear, and that's right. And then when I get this front left leg, and it's sort of up, and we see this nice negative shape between the two. So I want to make sure I keep that shape there. Again, super light so that you can erase. I'm probably drawing a little bit darker than I want you to so that you can see this. Okay, so now let's get the back. So the back is kind of arched, and then it goes up to where the hips are. And that's, yeah, the hips are, and then down to where the tail goes. I think that's pretty close. And then this belly is really thick. It's a lot thicker than the length of the legs. So we're going to get that belly kind of down here. I think that's about right. And that leg here is elephant's walking a bit. So we actually have a knee there. And so, yeah, that's why we're just going to keep working. Let's see, we got the ground is here. Okay, so, and this is lifted up a bit. And we'll add all those wrinkles and stuff later. And then the other foot, noticing there's a negative shape here. All right. So now just kind of going back and forth to see our proportions before we get any darker. So let's see. Let's look back at this ear. This ear. And I'm going to start going a little darker, but we want to keep it pretty light. This one's got a little nick out of its ear, but You don't have to put that in. They get in a lot of fights, especially the males. And then the opening to the ear is right there. All right, and then the head, I'm going to flatten my head a little bit. I got it too big. That's why it's nice to start light. And I actually see a little bit of a divot right there for the other eye. And then we actually have the trunk here. And the trunk doesn't have to be exactly in the right place because, of course, it's very movable. And then they have kind of two lips to that trunk. And it gets thicker down here. So I got to make it thicker than I had it. I'm just going to come right down to that open mouth. And then adding the tusk. It's one of those pretty short tusks. Some don't have any tusks. So kind of like that. Okay. Now that mouth is open, and the mouth is a bit like the trunk in that it could be in a lot of different positions. You don't have to have it open, but that jaw continues on under the ear. And then we have the neck here. But in front of that neck, there's a really subtle chest line that comes down to this leg. Okay, and so now let's get this leg. We're noticing how thick it is. And there's a little bump here for the, I guess you'd call that the ankle. And then they've got these big, wide feet to be able to hold up their enormous weight. And then coming up and around to that elbow line. And that line kind of comes right into the ear there. So I've got that right place. All right, so now the other leg is behind the line for the chest here. And it's lifting that leg a little bit. There's that angle, the joint. And it's a little bit taller, just a little bit off the ground a bit. And then noticing the negative shape between the two. I think that's close enough. Okay, now let's see. Let's go back to the back and starting at the ear. And I think I could make his back a little bit higher. And then the hip. And again, I'm going a little bit firmer with my line. I'm a little bit more sure of it. And we got some wrinkles here. All right. And then this. And also, I think that I'm going to make that wider. I think that's going to be more like here. We don't have to do any erasing yet. Let's just stay focused on our lines, and we can get the erasing done all at once. I think that's close enough. And then this other leg. All right, and then the belly. I think I do want to make that belly a little bit thicker. It's just amazingly thick here. So kind of comes from this elbow and down. And then it's a little bit lower here. Yeah, there we go. I think that's a little bit better. Okay, then the tail. And the tail could be swishing any little direction. It doesn't have any hair along the length, but has hair at the end. So it's kind of like zebras and giraffes are like this too. Different from a horse. Yeah. Okay. And then, oh, we didn't get to get the eye. So the eye is above where the end of the mouth is. and right about in the middle. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to erase. I'm going to use this. So even though, we're not exact, we still noticed a lot of interesting things about the proportions of this African elephant. And next time we draw it, it'll be even more accurate. But in this lesson, I want to focus more on the shadowing. So even if we're not that close with the exact proportions, so I like using these pencil erasers because then you don't use up your other eraser on your pencil. And I'm going to get rid of that old knee and just keep that new one. Okay.